Okay, this is probably one of the easiest ways to make art as realistic as possible is through perspective. There's two-dimensional, three-dimensional perspective, linear perspective, and atmospheric perspective that we're going to talk about today. The 2D in artwork means that it's flat drawing, painting, prints, photography, all are examples of two-dimensional art. Three-dimensional art or 3D art is usually artwork that exists in real space. It's sculptures, pottery, architecture, and examples of three-dimensional art. So it has height, width, and depth. Depth is that third dimension. Perspective refers to the way artists create the illusion of three-dimensional space on a flat surface. And it is a system that's similar, a system that creates the illusion of space through making the edges of things in a picture get smaller and closer together as they appear to go further in the distance. Atmospheric perspective creates the illusion of space by making things further away lighter and less intense in color, and they'll have less detail also, fuzzier, and cooler in color. Atmospheric perspective is easily to observe when looking at the mountains or hills. The ones that are closer are more intense in color, the ones farther away are lighter and value and even bluer or hazier, fuzzier. So with this, you can see that the train car that's down here in the bottom of the page is where the viewer is closest to, and as you go up the composition, the things get smaller. So they're using this overlapping technique, and they're making these cars back here smaller than this railroad at the front. So that's how linear perspective is done, and we're going to be doing a lot. But for this particular project, without getting a lot into it, some of the things that we can do, again, we're going to start off with a piece of paper, and for this particular part, we're going to fold the paper in half, and we're going to fold that half in half, so that we have our four areas that we're going to do our examples on. So one of the things that you can do without having vanishing points and horizon lines, which we're going to get into later on. The horizon is where the sky meets the earth. So this area here, once you put a line here, this is ground and this is sky, and that's where the sky meets earth. When you go to the beach, this is where the ocean and the sky meet, and you'd have the sun going down in the sunset or coming up for the sunrise, and that's how that is done. So then if you were to draw something here, if this is the waves and the beach right here, something that was here for, say, it's a beach ball, it's a larger item, and something that was out here like a boat, a sailboat would be, a sailboat is definitely larger than a beach ball, but because the beach ball is closer to the viewer and the viewer is always down here in the middle in the center, this is smaller. So this is kind of, or if you had another ball back over here, then that would say that this ball is further away. It can be the same size as this ball, but it's behind this ball and further away. And that's the overlapping principle. But you have to understand how all this works. So we're going to make, four different pictures. We're going to use that idea of putting in a horizon line. For that other activity, on the last thing we had that the picture of the jar, and it had the handles on it, and it had some designs, and it was 1/3 of the way over. If you had other jars and they were smaller and going back into the distance, they were smaller, that would be that overlapping principle. We'd have even another one in here that's behind all of these. That one would probably come down to there. So as they're getting smaller, as they're going out in the distance, and that's that same idea as the train properties. So we want you to use that idea of linear perspective. When we've been drawing the shapes, when you draw that box that we've been drawing for the four shapes and the four shape creation with the cylinders and the cones, all of that is three-dimensional because we're seeing how high the object is, how wide the object is and how deep. This is the deepness going back in the distance. That's, again, all drawn perspective. So you need to come up with four for these pictures. You use the overlapping, use a horizon line, and try drawing the things getting smaller in the distance. And those 4 pictures will be your very beginnings of understanding using overlapping to create perspective. And then we're going to go into more perspective drawing later, but this for our basic design, this is covering all of our vocabulary, what a 2-dimensional work is, a 3-dimensional. A lot of people looking at it, oh, that's a 3-dimensional drawing, because in this picture here, you're seeing how high something is, how long something is this direction here. How high something is this direction that's right here from the bottom, and how long something is. And this is how wide that object is. It's from this edge here to this edge. This is how wide that object is, how long it is, and how tall. And those are the 3 dimensions. When you have a painting hanging on the wall, it just has how high it is and how long it is. It doesn't show you any depth until you put in some depth. It doesn't. This is how deep the item is. This is the depth of a drawing. That makes it a 3-dimensional, because you're seeing the length, height, and width of the height, the length, and the width of an object in the drawing. So go ahead and make your 4 drawings. And again, these are quick sketches. We want 4 complete compositions. Use overall, work on the ideas of emphasis and putting in some detail and variety when you come up with your pictures. And that's your activity for the More Principles of Design 2 and 3-dimensional art for this particular, this is the last page number 30 of our Leonardo papers. And this is our last activity. Go out and have some fun.